Welcome back to Enshrouded, everyone, and happy Halloween. I hope you all are having a fun and spooky month of October. And along those lines, I've decided to do a spooky Halloween build in Enshrouded. So without further ado, let me take you on a tour of my haunted church and graveyard build. I'll start off by showing some details around the exterior of the build during the day here, since you guys got to see a lot of it at night in the intro of this video. And starting off, here is how the jack-lantern looks. I used the heartwood for it along with sand, and those two blocks combined gave me this orange look for the pumpkin. And then I used a little round door, and we do in fact have a little crypt inside the pumpkin. Kind of spooky. You can see out the mouth and eyes, and I just placed some candles in there to give it a better effect at night there. And then coming up on the haunted church here, I have a little exterior graveyard and everything here where I use some of the hay and then use some armor stands to act as skeletons kind of walking around at night. You can see this one kind of digging his way out of the grave there. Then if we come around, this is kind of where the entry point is. I have a little rough path that comes over to the shroud and graveyard portion of the build. And this is actually what inspired the build big time. I found this little piece of shroud on the map, and to give you a reference, this is where we are on the map. Pretty much right in between the Revelwood Ancient Spire as well as the Springland Spire. And the map always changes through the updates of the game, so maybe in a future update this little section of land will not be here for you if you're inspired to do a build similar to this one. But it was here right now, and I was really happy with the fog. Basically all of the little shroud spores that are in this little shroud area were creating the fog, and I was like, it'd be so cool to do sort of a haunted church or a haunted house emerging from the fog, and that was the original inspiration for the build. So I kind of built up a tattered, destroyed walkway as if this used to sort of be the courtyard of the church, and it's been disintegrating, and then I used a mod to spawn in some little skeletons and bone piles and things just to add some life into the build, as well as I kind of scattered some gravestones and just made it look as destroyed as I could. And if we walk over here, we go into the main graveyard portion along the side of the church, where I put the big gravestone and then again use the mod to place a small dead tree right here. And then right over here on the corner, I wanted to show you this before we wrap around the backside. I came up with this little design to try to create some witches riding broomsticks. And this one on the bottom is actually done without mods at all. It is the weapon rack, I think the dagger's weapon rack, along with some of the straw VUCA nesting material there. And then the armor stand with the alchemist armor set on it to create the little witch riding the broom. And then the upper two, you can see the broomstick is a little bit longer, and that one I did use the mod to place the broomstick there. But you can see it works fine with no mods as well. And then I just built a little tiny twiggy dead tree over here. And then if we wrap around to the other side of the build, you can see I actually built a much bigger one because when I originally built this, I felt like it needed a little bit more landscape to fill it out, and I thought a dead tree in the backdrop would just look so cool. So yeah, I just used the bark from the big trees in Blackmire in order to build this tree, and then use the mod to place a little cage hanging down from it. And then that guy up there, you can see there's a little kind of skeleton hanging from the tree. That's actually just an armor stand with the rag armor set on it to make it look like a skeleton hanging. And then I did do a couple of other skeletons hanging that I used the mod to place. But I think it turned out really nicely. I was just trying to go for a gnarly dead tree look, and that certainly worked out. And then I've got some little gravestones below it, and if you're wondering how I got the smoke effect, I basically just glitched torches down into the ground just below things. That's also how I got some more fog right in front of the church here. You can see that these chains in front of the church are actually the giant braziers that we can place from the Hollow Hawes dungeon building pieces, and that is again without mods. And I glitched those into the ground. You can see a bit of the green flame kind of poking above, and they provide a lot of smoke there to sort of shroud the staircase, which I thought was really cool. And then wrapping around back here, I just kind of filled it out with some more little twigs and trees and some of these red trees from the Revelwood, the little saplings there. And then we have a corn maze over here. Also just did a little witch kind of run around. Again, just an armor stand with some armor on it there. And the corn maze was something I wanted to include because I always really enjoyed corn mazes as a child. And if we enter in through the back, basically have a big maze here. Kind of see it from the top down, where I just kind of use the green slimy block to illuminate the pathway, which I think looked really nice, and I just tried to plant corn as packed together as I could. So yeah, the corn maze basically ends over here, where it goes out to the graveyard there, as you can see. Also put some scarecrows, and then place the wagons with the mod, and put some VUCA nesting material and some crates and things in them, just to sort of add to the harvest vibe of autumn. And with that, that is pretty much the exterior showcase and details of the build. Let me know in the comments if you like anything in particular or would like more detailed tutorials on them. But with that, I'm going to wait till nighttime and then we can explore the inside of the church. Alright, it is nighttime now and the build really comes to life at night. I absolutely love it. It is super spooky and definitely what I was going for here. It's even just spooky with some of the eerie sounds at night just to walk through this little dilapidated graveyard area. Well, without further ado, let's enter the church. I used the big iron crypt doors for the church here. And by the way, the main block palette of the church is the well blocks as well as the mycelium blocks. And you'll notice the music is spooky. When you do a build primarily out of well blocks, they actually have their own sound effect, which is kind of interesting. Some people don't like that, but I think it worked out perfectly for this build, and maybe they'll remove that in the future, who knows. But this is where the flame altar is, where we spawn into the build, and this is kind of the church section. We have the altar here with the stained glass windows, a lot of the new building pieces from Alden Crawley there from the Hollow Halls updates a while ago. And then again, I just used the mod to place some skeletons on the chairs and things. Overall, this build is pretty much vanilla without any mods, but I did use some mods for skeletons as well as little touch-up type stuff like placing cobwebs in the corners and things like that. But with that said, to the left of the build here, we have a little hallway, and that goes into a bathroom. A very spooky old abandoned bathroom. Because I figured that would be an important thing in a church, I suppose. And then to the right here, we have a little staircase that goes up to a balcony. And you can see I have that same staircase and balcony on the other side to kind of overlook for some more seating up here. So it's fairly authentic to the way a lot of churches are. And then if we head all the way up here, we have the balcony on this side, as well as Alden Crawley's little corner there. And then I also wanted to mention, before we head up too high in the build, I have a little secret doorway right here under the floor that we can fall down into for, of course, the crypt. A lot of churches have a secret crypt down below, and I thought that would be really fitting. You can also enter it from behind the stairs here if you already didn't figure that out from before. And if you're not careful, you can accidentally fall into the crypt. But for the sake here, we'll just kind of jump down so I don't die while making this video. And we have kind of the first level of the crypt here. Very simple, but I think it adds a lot to the build. And eventually I might kind of turn these crypts into like a whole underground maze where you could really just get yourself lost in them. But yeah, we just have a big split off down here. I used the cage from the mod there to create sort of a dungeon cage area. And then this is what it actually is underneath the graveyard. That's what the shroud stuff looks like from below, which is kind of cool. I figured it made for a really cool looking room for another big coffin there. And then if we head all the way to the other side, we actually have a ladder here. And any guesses where that leads? You can see the green block up there. This is actually a second way down into the crypts, or out of the crypts if you get stuck in them. And goes right out into the corn maze. And this is what the corn maze looks like at night. Super spooky and cool. Alright, so with that showcase, let's head upstairs because this church has quite a few levels here. Again, there's the entry, and we'll climb the stairs for the bell tower. So the next level up is the library. We have a big, spooky library. You can see some reading areas, bookshelves. Love the new Hollow Halls building pieces there. And then a big round window where I basically used the Hobbit door frame and then used a bunch of the iron window frames to sort of create my own round window there. And that is actually on both ends. I have a secret door here for the restricted section of the library with another round window. And well, someone got stuck in here and died. Alright, and then heading up another level. If I go all the way up, this one's up tall, we have the spooky restricted attic here. And it's barricaded, lots of cobwebs that I kind of spawned in with the mod there to really just dilapidate the attic here. Otherwise, the rest of it, I just used the VUCA nesting material and sort of broke some blocks purposely. Again, just making it look very old as sort of the spooky haunted attic that you probably would not want to go. And for the roof of this church, I used the tarred shingle roof block. So that's most of the interior. Otherwise, we just climb all the way up the bell tower, all the way to the steeple, I guess, up here. And with that, that is pretty much an overview of the build. So I do hope you enjoyed. I had a lot of fun building this, and as always, let me know if you have any questions or comments on how I did certain things. But otherwise, have a great rest of your Halloween and October, and huge shout out to all of my channel members. Thank you so much for your support. Don't forget to subscribe and join my Discord server through the link in the description, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.